Last night, I ventured out with a group of friends to enjoy a music night at a local bar, a place we frequented often, known for its vibrant atmosphere and live performances. The bar was alive with energy, the air was thick with laughter, the clinking of glasses, and the pulsating beat of the music that seemed to wrap around us like a warm blanket. As we entered, the flashing lights danced across the room, making it feel like a scene straight out of a movie. After a couple of drinks, I felt the weight of the world lift off my shoulders. The music enveloped us, and I found myself swaying to the rhythm, caught up in the sheer joy of the moment. My friends and I shared jokes, reminiscing about past adventures, and every so often, we would burst into laughter, drawing curious glances from nearby tables. It was a perfect night, or so I thought. As I lost myself in the music, I decided to take a picture to capture the moment. Reaching into my pocket, I was met with a sinking feeling. My phone was nowhere to be found. Panic surged through me as I began to pat down my pockets frantically. I looked at my friends, who were still caught up in their conversations, blissfully unaware of my growing anxiety. I glanced around the table, hoping to see my phone lying there, but it was absent. Surely, I must have left it here, I thought to myself, fighting back the rising tide of worry. I stood up and checked every inch of our table, my heart racing. I even dashed to the bathroom, praying I had dropped it there. But all I found was the echo of running water and the distant laughter of others, amplifying my sense of isolation. Returning to my friends, I felt the weight of unease settle in my stomach. They noticed my distress and began to help me search. Min, always the practical one, suggested I use his phone to call mine. Desperate, I nodded in agreement, hoping against hope for a miracle. With trembling hands, I dialed my number. The phone rang, once, twice, before being answered by a low, raspy giggle that sent chills down my spine. My heart sank as the voice didn't utter a single word, it simply let out that eerie laugh before hanging up abruptly. I exchanged bewildered glances with Min, a cold dread creeping into my bones. Is someone playing a sick joke on me? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. But deep inside, I feared that this was no mere prank. Who would laugh like that? Was it just a childish joke, or was something more sinister at play? After a few more attempts to call back, only to be met with silence, I reluctantly decided to let it go. Although I was upset about the loss of my phone, I didn't want it to ruin the night. We returned to enjoying the music and dancing, but the unsettling feeling lingered like a shadow, threatening to overshadow the fun we were having. As the performance drew to a close, I felt the exhaustion of the night settle in, but my mind was still racing. I told myself I would return to the bar the next day to inquire about my missing phone. When I finally stepped into my room, a wave of relief washed over me as I spotted my phone lying innocently on my nightstand. It was right where I had left it. Why did I worry so much? I mumbled, picking it up and checking for missed calls or messages. To my surprise, I noticed a strange number that had called me earlier. My brow furrowed, and I wondered if it was the same number that had answered me before. Despite my apprehension, curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to call back. The phone rang for what felt like an eternity, and just as I was about to hang up, a familiar voice answered. Hello? The tone was unsettlingly casual, yet something about it felt off. Hi, this is... I called this number last night, I stammered, a knot tightening in my stomach. Ah, right. I heard you calling. I was just messing around, the voice replied, laced with a hint of hesitation. Messing around? Why would you do that? I demanded, my voice rising with frustration. I didn't think you'd be so worried. I just wanted to see your reaction, the voice chuckled, making my skin crawl. The conversation spiraled into tension as I struggled to comprehend why someone would toy with my emotions like this. The laughter felt like a taunt, echoing in my ears, and I could feel my heart pounding in my chest. Finally, I decided I had enough. I hung up, feeling a mix of anger and confusion swirling within me. After ending the call, I felt a weight lifted, as if I had escaped a nightmare. I had retrieved my phone, but the disturbing call lingered in my mind. I realized I shouldn't allow such trivial matters to overshadow my joy. As I lay down in bed, closing my eyes, I tried to forget the night's events. The music still echoed in my head, and I promised myself not to let a lost phone or a prank ruin the moments I cherished. However, the laughter from the mysterious caller haunted me, refusing to fade into the background. That night, I tossed and turned, unable to find rest. Each creak of the house sent a jolt through me, and I imagined shadows lurking just beyond the reach of my dim bedside lamp. I finally drifted into a fitful sleep, only to be plagued by nightmares, dark figures laughing, the sound echoing through a void, and my phone slipping through my fingers just as I reached for it. When morning arrived, I woke with a start, drenched in sweat, my heart still racing. The sun was shining through my window, casting a warm glow on the room, yet I couldn't shake the lingering dread from the previous night. I got up and tried to shake it off, telling myself it was just a bad dream. As I went about my day, I noticed an odd sense of paranoia creeping in. Every time my phone buzzed or rang, I jumped, half expecting that same sinister voice to respond. I considered going to the bar to confront the staff about the prank, but part of me feared what I might uncover. Later that afternoon, I finally mustered the courage to return to the bar. As I walked in, the familiar atmosphere enveloped me, but I couldn't shake off the feeling of unease. I approached the bartender, a friendly face I recognized from previous visits. "Hey, I was here last night and lost my phone," I explained, trying to mask my anxiety. "Someone called me from this number and scared me." The bartender raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "That's strange. We don't usually get any troublemakers here. Let me check with my manager." As I waited, my eyes scanned the room, half expecting to see someone lurking in the shadows, watching me. The laughter of patrons echoed in my ears, blending with the music, and I couldn't help but feel like I was being judged. After a few minutes, the bartender returned, a puzzled look on his face. "We checked the footage from last night, but we didn't see anyone suspicious. Just regular patrons enjoying the music." My heart sank. But someone answered my call with that creepy laugh, I insisted, desperation creeping into my voice. The bartender shrugged. "Maybe it was just a prank. People can be weird sometimes. Just be careful next time." As I left the bar, I felt a mix of relief and frustration. I didn't have any answers, but I promised myself I wouldn't let this strange incident control my life. Yet, the laughter still echoed in my mind, a chilling reminder that not all shadows were harmless. That night, I tried to distract myself with movies and music, but the unease lingered like a fog. As I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, I couldn't help but wonder if the laughter would return. Sleep came in fits, and every noise seemed amplified in the stillness of the night. Days turned into weeks, and while I tried to move on, the memory of that night haunted me. I would catch myself glancing at my phone, half expecting a call from that same eerie voice. I began avoiding the bar, convinced that the shadows there held secrets I didn't want to uncover. Then, one evening, while scrolling through social media, I stumbled upon a post that made my blood run cold. It was a video taken at the bar during the night I lost my phone. People were dancing, laughing, and enjoying themselves, but in the background, just out of focus, stood a figure with a twisted smile, a face I didn't recognize but felt deeply unsettling. I watched the video in horror, my heart racing. The laughter echoed in my head as I realized that the figure had been staring directly at the camera, its gaze chilling and predatory. I immediately turned off my phone, unable to comprehend what I had just seen. That night, I locked all my windows and doors, feeling a sense of paranoia settle in. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, that the laughter I had heard was a warning, a prelude to something more sinister. I drifted into a restless sleep, my dreams filled with shadows and whispers. In the weeks that followed, I became a recluse, avoiding social gatherings and staying indoors. But the laughter still echoed in my mind, a haunting reminder that sometimes, the past refuses to let go. I couldn't escape the feeling that something was lurking just beyond the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike. And as I lay in bed one night, staring into the darkness, I realized that some doors, once opened, can never be closed. The laughter returned, low and raspy, echoing through the silence, reminding me that the shadows hold secrets I may never fully understand.